While it's easy to assume that most of the Canadian mission is focused on basic peacekeeping, there's much more at stake. Healthcare is critical for any functioning society. The medics and doctors in theatre have become aware of the basic needs in the region. Captain Bradford spent a few minutes explaining the role the medics play with the mission and about the clinic that was under construction for the village of Todorova by 23 Field Squadron engineers.
And we can do advanced trauma life support as well. We have all the drugs ready for that. And back if we get hit, you know, that's a very military scenario, you know, saying, geez, you know, what happens if all of a sudden we're under attack? You always have to think that way when you set up. So we have our own emergency power and everything just outside, and our own emergency water system that we can run. We have a sterilizer, centrifuge. We can take blood here and send it down to Chorley for testing. And we have all our documentation. We have a pharmacy, which is not in this room. It's further down. You don't need to see it. It's just a closet with a bunch of drugs in it, really. And this is where someone will be brought for our catchment area, which is, I think, about 500 square miles. You guys had the brief. Did they tell you how big it was? Was that about the right size?
They didn't say how big
They didn't say how big it was?
Yeah.
So it's a catchment area. And so basically what they do in that catchment area is they patrol around and look for problems. Some of the things that we've seen some Bosnians brought to us who were beat up and asked to give a report and assess them and so forth. We've had, we get our usual sprained ankles and fractures and stuff like that from playing hockey in theatre, and we've got like a very good sports program here, so we get a few of those. Touch wood, we haven't had anything serious yet, and that's really nice. And I think the people here have been so busy working, training, and so forth. I don't think they've had a chance to really get depressed either, from what I've seen. You know, we haven't seen a lot of that in the clinic either, and that's a concern to us. And we've certainly seen that. I think people are so busy with the initial setup phase, the first 6 months. I think that they were so busy doing all that they haven't had time to be homesick. You know.
Do you come here prepared for things, psychological problems, suicides, that kind of thing? Is that a factor out here?
Well, I think that is a factor, and certainly there's been a few suicides on past tours, and when they've statistically analyzed it, they come out and they said, okay, well, it's not really any greater than the population as a whole, right? But it certainly gets a lot of attention, and it's certainly something that I think the military has sort of taken to heart. And what they've done for that is there's a whole bunch of stress debrief courses that you have to go on. And actually, in the next 2 weeks, I'm running 7 courses on returning home, repatriation, and critical incident stress. And what that involves is, you may have heard of battle fatigue or post-traumatic stress syndrome. It involves sort of education about that type of thing. Now that's at the doctor level. Now, all the medics have had some training in that, and also before you come to a theatre, you should have had some training in it, just as part of your, just like you're trained with the right, like even I'm trained on how to use a rifle, believe it or not, as a physician. So that's sort of part of the training everybody gets. Also, many of the individuals here have gone on a training which allows them to say you and I together, right? And our friend just steps on a mine and gets blown up, right? It allows, say, you and I to, let's say, it allows you to kind of debrief me and me to debrief you, to talk about, geez, that was really brutal. How do you feel about that? And allows us to kind of go away and talk about it. And it's a course designed to give you some of those skills in order to help someone talk about the things that have happened, express their feelings and stuff. Because you can imagine the military, all these tough guys, they keep a lot, internalize a lot, which can cause problems later in their job. Their own like elderly people in their family at home. Like the family is a really big issue here. The family is sort of the main part of their life. So they would manage a lot of their elderly people. So they come in and say, my grandfather's sick, can you give me some pills? So he's not there for you to examine, and he's living on some back road somewhere, which I don't even know if it's been cleared. And so it was a very interesting experience working there. There was. We saw a fair, like I said, incidence of TB. We also saw a couple of cases that looked to be Lyme disease, with the ticks that live in the area. And we saw some people who were managed by specialists previous to the war in '91 and prior. who had long since run out of medication, people with seizure disorders who had no medication, people with congestive heart failure who didn't have medications which they require, people with high blood pressure, things that you think, diabetics who didn't have any pills to take, whose sugars had been running extremely high, and who were very sick. So what we were able to do with the NGO organizations, meaning, as I said before, Médecins Sans Frontières, Médecins du Monde, which is a French organization, is they were supplying pharmaceuticals, but they were kind of in need for more physician support. Well, they had a few physicians, but they, maybe I'll move around for you, so you're squinting there. And they had a few physicians, but they needed some extra help, you know, with the need in the area. So we were able to go in and help with that, and we would write prescriptions, and the drugs would come from the relief agency. So that worked out well. And then the Bosnian physicians began to return to the area, and basically, in cooperation with them, we pulled out of Vrnjač, and a Bosnian physician returned. So it was like, it worked out as a very good success. For about 9 months, they had some support, and now they have Bosnian physician. So then we asked them, out of all the hospitals where you're helping out right now, which one would you say needs the most help? And they said, well, this place called Todorovo, okay? And so we went and checked Todorovo out, and basically what's happened there is, as you'll see when you come back next week, their clinic has completely been burnt down, right? There's nothing there, and they're working out of the front room in someone's house, and it happens to be the nurse. And they have about 30 or 40 people in there, all coughing on each other with TB and everything. And the physician's in there, and there's a lot of yelling and moaning, and you know, it's just too small, and I think it's almost dangerous as far as passing infections to each other and stuff. So we asked them, well, what do they require? And they said, well, we could use a doctor because our doctor's leaving on the 27th, and we really could use a clinic. So what we have in the military is we have a way of getting funding, and we did that through our division, and we got some funding whereby the civilian areas helped through monies that come through to build, like repair schools and roads, or remove like mines from an area or something like that, and we were able to apply for that through this, and we were able to get some money in order to build it. So what we did was we took a sea container that they had at the area and 2 other sea containers, and what they're doing now is they're fabricating those up into a clinic. They're going to put the 3 together, and we're going to put a roof over the top, and we're going to move that over on the 26th. Okay, but what we'll do is you can look at it now, kind of show it to you now, and then you can see it when you come back. I guess it's Monday you're coming back?
It'll be almost done.
We'll be almost done, and then we'll take you out to the site to show you where we're going to put it so you can see where the area was burned down and stuff. But this area in Todorovo was right on the front line in the war for about a year, and there's all kinds of mines around the whole area, and I mean, the mosque has been blown up, the schools, all the windows in the school are shattered, and like I say, the ambulance was totally destroyed. There's trenches where the guys, like sort of this distance to that distance, where one guy would sort of get up every morning and shoot at the other guy, and you know, and vice versa. And it's really quite something to see. Yet it's such a beautiful area too. So this is what we're doing. We're going to have civilian guys here. Actually, a couple, and this is 24 Field Squadron. Basically, the engineers, I walked up to the sergeant major of the engineers. I said to him, I need to build a clinic, right? And he goes, how big do you need? Yes, no, or he's like, how big do you want it? So we got a lot of support from the engineers, and they've basically taken over the whole project here and are making sure that it's all sound. They went and checked out the site. We have electricity at the site now. We have water at the site. We have a septic system at the site.
A British Royal Navy Sea King lands on the gravel pit above Koralichi, dropping off some local Bosnian military officers and Canadian members returning from meetings, part of the ongoing negotiations to help life return to normal. The roads in the region are narrow, windy, and can be quite slow at times. Helicopters make short work of the distances and obstacles. The various NATO members' aerial assets in MND Southwest are in constant demand. British, German, and American helicopters deliver supplies and people, conduct surveillance and other missions. Their capabilities cannot be understated. Ground crews supporting the air crew and helicopters are equally important. It takes a remarkable amount of well-trained professional airmen, sailors, and soldiers with overlapping and diverse training to make a mission as massive as IFOR run smoothly. Operating a refueling truck may not seem as glamorous or as exciting as the combat arms trades, but it is just as important. Similar to the Canadian Sea Kings, the Westland Sea King helicopter is more than well suited in its support role, with a 1,200 kilometer range and a 200 kilometer an hour cruise speed. After a hot refuel, the Sea King is off. Range training can now continue for soldiers doing their annual qualification on the C7 rifle.
Okay, we're out at the PWT range. Basically, we've got the 100-meter point, which is at the edge of the landing zone there. The targets are right up against the edge of the gravel pit. And then you have the 200-meter point, which is right here. They're going to be going out to the 100-meter point by the looks of it. I think there's a delay because of the helicopter landing. So they're going to start there. They'll do some groupings on the targets there, and then they're going to come back up to the 200-meter point and fire again from there. This is the Atom area where you hang out while you're not on the range. Nobody is to be on the range that isn't either firing or part of the range staff. And that's just a control measure for safety and so on. This is the ammo point here, and Corporal Marshall, he's one of the range staff, and he's been, looks like he's been...
Stereo, you will have 5 bullets in 20 seconds. You will start shooting when I say fire, and you will stop when I whistle. Then it's going to be exposure. You will wait until I say I whistle. I will say fire, don't fire. Wait for the whistle. 5 seconds, 1 bullet. 5 or 10 seconds, I will whistle again. Okay, so I will whistle 5 seconds. Then 5 seconds, I will stop. Stop. I whistle again, then you can shoot again. 1 bullet at a time. Make sure you count your bullet every time. Any questions? Adapt the prompt position.
Every member in the CF is trained on the C7 rifle. Some may not use the weapon day to day, but they still know how to use it and maintain training.
Relay with 15-round magazine load. It's your target. In front of you. 200 meter. 5
It's just another sunny day in Bosnia.